What's up YouTube? Welcome back. Today I'm on the 2015 Ford Escape. So this morning I'll be replacing the serpentine belt and the AC stretch belt. With the stretch belts, there's no tensioner. It is literally stretched over the pulleys and it's kind of a big pain in the ass. Now there are tricks with using like zip ties and stuff, and that's how I figured it out on my truck, but don't do it that way because I ended up tearing up my arms and getting super frustrated. Don't do it. I'll show you a couple tools. I got them off of Amazon. You could probably rent them at like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, any place like that. They were cheap. You know, if you have multiple Fords, it's worth investing. If you only have one, it might be just worth running down to the auto parts store and just renting it for a few minutes. So I've got the Escape up in the air, got the passenger side wheel off. I'm gonna start taking the inner fender liner off, and then that will give me some access to the belts. On this tensioner here, we're going to loosen the belt. They do have a spot for a ratchet to go into. The problem is you can't sneak a ratchet in here and then get it to go in here because of this distance right here. So this is kind of just pointless. So just get a 15mm socket, put it on the end of your ratchet, stick it on here, then you can just push up and loosen the belt and pull it off. So you can see how this little tool comes in handy. All right, so I had it like this against the crank pulley with the belt over here. And then you can see how it's kind of tapered down like that and opens up. So as it goes around, it pushes the belt towards the crank and it eventually lets it slip on. One thing I had a little trouble with was I didn't make sure my belt was over this tiny little lip right here, so it was actually riding on the top of this pulley for a second. So I had to go around a little bit while I pushed this belt so that it fell down into the grooves. But now that it's on, it's tight. That was tight. That's it, just gotta put everything back together now. All right, all back together. Just gotta pop the wheel on, and I only had one casualty, and that was this little plastic clip that just broke right here. Oh well, not a big deal. Everything else went back in fine. I really recommend pulling this part of the fender liner out so you have that access. You could probably, you know, just pull this back and do it, but it's so much easier with this thing folded out of the way. For your tensioner, use a long ratchet with a 15mm socket. Down here, the crank bolt is going to be a 13/16 socket. This is what I ended up using. I tried to use a longer breaker bar, but there's just not enough room, and I needed the ratcheting capability to move the ratchet around to be able to get the leverage I needed. 3/4 socket, take off your lug nuts. Here's my stretch belt. I got this from O'Reilly's. One of them was like $36, $37. The other one was around 30, something like that. And this is my serpentine belt. Gates is a pretty good brand. Also from O'Reilly. So let me show you the tools I got off of Amazon. Now, one of the videos I saw, these guys used this tool by Gates, but I believe they come in two different pins. This one only came with one pin, and this was not right for my setup. Probably would have worked on the F-150. The other tool I got comes in this two-piece set. This was off of Amazon, and you can see one of them says remove, the other one says install. Now you don't need to remove because you're just going to get in there and cut the belt anyway, and it's off in 2 seconds. this is the one you're after. This is what it looks like. And this is on Amazon. I think a box of these two tools was like $8, $10 maybe. They're cheap. Again, if you're gonna do multiple stretch belts on multiple vehicles, if you have that, then it's worth investing. If not, you know, just run down to the auto parts store, see if they have one that you can borrow and rent or whatever, and then you don't have to waste the money. Normally when you pop the hood on most cars, they're gonna have a sticker that tells you your belt routing. This, for some reason, did not have it underneath the hood, so I just went ahead and drew exactly what it was. So this is the 2.5 engine on the 2015 Ford Escape. Crank goes up underneath this little tensioner to the one that you're able to move, comes down around the power steering, goes over to the alternator, and then back down. Very simple. I would just encourage you to take a few pictures before you take it all apart. That way you have reference when you're doing it. If you lose track, whatever, you can always delete them later. That's it. Nothing special. Fairly easy. Having that tool makes all the difference in the world. It's probably worth just ordering it online and having it in your toolbox. Once you're back on the ground, just make sure you double check your torque specs on your lug nuts, and then go out and do some wheelies. Thanks so much for watching. Stay hungry, stay foolish.